Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, all U.S. Constitution protects all lives matter members and their family. And good morning to our great president, Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. Today, as you know, is a federal holiday which they celebrate Martin Luther King Day. They celebrate a day which he stood up for his people. A day that is down in history, and a day that was awarded to him and the black people of America, or African Americans, who some don't assimilate with because they say Black America. Well, Italian America is Italian America. And just like every other ethnic group is their ethnicity and American. Well, years ago, before Martin Luther King Day, Rosa Parks, J. Medgar Evers, many others, we, as an Italian American people, were awarded Columbus Day, which, upon many journeys across the ocean that then the world deemed was flat, Christopher Columbus took that chance, just like Martin Luther King took that chance and took to the streets in Alabama and across the nation. Well, during many years of discrimination, multiple hangings of Italian Americans that goes covered up by Black America, and the assassination attempt of Joe Colombo, the founder of the Italian American Civil Rights League, whom a black person tried to assassinate. Now, mind you, here's people that claim to be non-discriminatory and claim to be the prey of everybody, claim to be preyed upon by the white people. Well, Joe Colombo, an Italian American, was attempted to be assassinated by a black person. A day that was awarded to the Italian Americans was removed by a black president, Barack Hussein Obama. Many houses of worship were attacked by members of Black Lives Matter Movement Incorporated, originating out of Oakland, California, and their allies, a small group of Latinos who attacked Roman Catholic churches and icons of other ethnicity groups. I am all for equality. That's why I had founded U.S. Constitution Protects All Lives Matter Incorporated several years ago to combat the racial disparity of all, the racial disparity and anti-Semitism of all, and most of all, the targeting of Italian Americans and Italians and Sicilians within the Federal Bureau of Prisons, which I myself was targeted and almost was assassinated, not once, but several times, because of exposing such acts and illegal and unconstitutional programs being employed on the Italian American people. Such programs was deemed unconstitutional. Such programs enslaved people under the Obama administration. And why I say enslaved people? Because records were illegally altered. Sentences was lengthened, violating the 7th and 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Equal application and protection of law clause. Genocide was committed, and such proof is within the perimeter of what I'm saying because I have the proof. An illegal surgical procedure performed under the authorization of Barack Hussein Obama and the then BOP director under contractors for the United States Federal Bureau of Prisons. This is true. This is factual, and this can be taken and proven beyond a reasonable doubt with a surgical evaluation where it can be shown what was done and how it was done illegally. This had rendered me not to have children. That's where Articles 2 through 9 comes in, under the UN treaty laws. Many people was killed in the Federal Bureau of Prisons by illegal administering of expired medications and non-licensed procedural people. Doctors that weren't even doctors. One, for instance, a Dr. Morales who was employed at FCI Ferriton. Miss Cadigan, an African-American, knew this and even administered expired medication herself. She was the hospital administrator. Warden Morris, an African-American, authorized such. Warden White, who then took over, authorized such, and authorized my illegal incarceration over a court order release for 90 days. Then again, ladies and gentlemen, you see why I say these things? Not because I'm just saying, I'm talking. It's based on documentary proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt, and such trials under the 7th Amendment have been denied. Such paperwork has been covered up within the Federal Bureau of Prisons and in the federal court systems. Right now, there's a case, which I won't mention, where if you look up PESA and you look up some of the documents, they do not have a complete set of documents. This was transmitted in a complete pattern, mailed in a complete pattern. But unbeknownst to me, there is a person that's working within the federal court system who was allied with Barack Hussein Obama and allied with Damian Williams, the then United States Attorney who prosecuted Kevin Rizzoli in 12 CR 550 using a false Army career file. That violates the FOIA Act federally under Title V. Judge Denise Coate covered that up. Judge Schoenfeld covered that up. And Judge Laura Swain covered that up. Judge Kimball Woods early on covered up a civil RICO that was filed against several state and federal people under 28 U.S.C. 2680H as the controlling factor. If you come out, look up Rizzoli versus Federal Bureau of Prisons, 230 Fed 3rd 371. Rizzoli versus FCI Allowood Medium et al., 225 Fed 3rd 650, 2001 3rd Circuit. Order released immediately due to false FBI lab reports and false drug seizures, false parole paperwork, BOP documents, and memorandums contained in U.S. Department of Justice files. Such files were falsified, and over-incarceration was found by a prominent law firm of Wilkie, Farr, and Gallagher, LLP, 777 7th Avenue. Jill Magnani and Millie Desaya and Martin Klotz, the lead attorney on my case, went to Washington, D.C. with these two forensics attorneys and found the files that were falsified. But their hands were tied, ladies and gentlemen, because COINTEL PRO and Project M was in play. They didn't want the Italians to have knowledge of that, so they kept Kevin Rizzoli in prison until they had no choice but to release him on his Navy sentence. There is not one person in the United States Navy that authorized the over-incarceration of Kevin Rizzoli. There is not one JAG officer under the Uniform Code of Military Justice that has the authorization to lengthen a military sentence without due process of law. But the BOP chose to do such. What did the Italian Americans get done to them? A lot of atrocities. But the biggest atrocity is the attack on the statues of Christopher Columbus and the taking away of Columbus Day by Barack Hussein Obama, proving beyond a reasonable doubt that Black Lives Matter movement was truly the foot soldiers for the overthrowing of the United States Constitution by a group of rogue federal agents under the guidance of Barack Hussein Obama, a closet Muslim. And as you see today, ladies and gentlemen, the attack on America, the founding fathers enacted laws that these judges, some of them, which I just mentioned, Denise Cote, Laura Swain, Schoenfeld, Judge Livingston, and others, are trying to rewrite and circumvent the Separation of Powers Act by issuing rulings contradictory to U.S. Supreme Court law, which is mandatorily must be applied, and also U.S. Constitution law policies. It's an atrocity that was created by who? Black Lives Matter movement, Patrisse Cullors, Rosa Opal, Mr. Newsom, Barack Hussein Obama. And why do I center on that? Because Patrisse Cullors herself says she is a trained Marxist organizer. Rosa Opal and Mr. Newsom, the same thing. This is not my words. This is not my opinion. This is based on fact and video footage from numerous news agencies. So again, ladies and gentlemen, who is the biggest racist of all? I will let you decide that. Who was preyed upon? I will let you decide that. But today is a federal holiday for a man who stood up for his people and stood up for what? The U.S. constitutional rights that they were protected under. Not the communist Democrats that prey and slither around the capital of the United States of America, like the likes of Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, who has done nothing, and we tried to contact her about a situation in Hunts Point Terminal Market within her district, and nothing was done. No calls were returned. And also many, many, many other people down there like Cory Booker, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, who are supporting now a socialist regime, who is now supporting and basically joined the communist movement. Under SWP versus United States Attorney General, the Roman Catholic Church was targeted, just like the Roman Catholic agents and others in the Roman Catholic Church. They were, scurried under the guise of socialism because of the Dorothy Day movement. That's not the case, ladies and gentlemen. But it is in court papers, and it is out there for you to read. Punch into your computer SWP versus U.S. Attorney General et al. It's a Southern District of New York case in 1985 and 86. So it's not back in the old McCarthy era days. It is here today. It is here now, and it is present now, with all the illegal intrusion that was authorized by the use of Project M and COINTEL PRO under the Obama-Biden regimes. This is why they're trying to highlight everything and anything and manufacture stuff and make it look real and push it on to President Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. COINTEL PRO is a disruptive program, and this is what was employed by rogue agents under the guidance and authorization of Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden. I seen it in the computer systems in 2012 in FTC Philadelphia, MCC New York, FCI Ferriton. So again, ladies and gentlemen, it's out there, and I have proof. Thank you very much. And if you don't believe me, look up a case that has been withheld from a pretrial conference way beyond a reasonable doubt, and even a judge, sua sponte, gave a person, or shall we say, a defendant, a second bite at the apple, which, on the court's accord and the court's, legal stance, violates the non-bipartisan options that are there for a judge. It makes him biased now. And that's Rizzoli versus TQL et al. 25 CV 6307, Southern District of New York, which is pending pretrial conference. Look that up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.